Hey everybody, it's Ethan here from WordTech, back with another video, and this time I am bringing you my 6-month durability review of the Galaxy S8 Plus, which could also be obviously applicable to the Galaxy S8. So I've owned this phone as my daily driver for about the last 6 months, and as many of you know, it's been touted to be one of the first phones out there with Gorilla Glass 5, which is supposed to be more shatter resistant. There will be more on that later, but it's supposed to be a fairly durable phone, nothing extreme like, you know, the Samsung S8 Active or something like that, but it is known to not be, you know, it's no hunk of junk. It's very resistant when it comes to bending and stuff like that as well. I've cleaned it up as best as possible for this video so that you guys can actually see some of the stuff other than fingerprints, because it is a total fingerprint magnet, especially the black edition, but hopefully you guys can see some of the blemishes and stuff that I've gotten on it over time. Now, keep in mind, my daily use is pretty tough. I'm pretty tough on phones overall, and I don't like to get cases for my phones, generally speaking. I like the way that they look naked, right? You know, I don't really want a case on my phone. I think it uglies it up. What's the point of a very beautiful design if you're just going to cover it up with a case? For a little bit of background information, I work 40 hours a week at a semi-truck trailer repair shop. Now, I don't actually work in the shop doing the repairs, but I do deal with a lot of the heavy parts, moving them around in the warehouse, resting things on my knee, getting dirty, cleaning things up, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. So it is a pretty common scenario that I put weight on the phone, or potentially, you know, don't use it with the cleanest of hands, or I maybe set it on like a counter or something that's really rough and has grit on it or something like that. So to keep in mind, you know, this isn't going to be the daily life of like somebody that goes to an office job. It's going to hold up even better if you guys do that. Now, a couple of things. So again, like I said, this has been my daily driver. Use it every day, and I've never put a case on it. I've always left it completely blank, naked, just like it is from day one. And I don't clean it particularly often or anything like that either. Like I said, I cleaned it up for this video, but it's nearly impossible to get the fingerprints off of it. In fact, it's already covered in fingerprints again now. So also, I have dropped this phone, and I'll give you a little bit more details on that later. Now, after owning this phone for 6 months, one of the first things I actually started to notice after about 2-3 weeks of owning this phone is it gets quite a bit of micro scratches, in particular on the back, which is interesting because the front is actually the part with the oleophobic coating. It's a coating that resists water. It tries to push water away, you know, right? So you can use your phone in the rain and stuff like that. Helps the water beat up and run off. And normally you see micro scratches in like the oleophobic coating, so I was a little confused because the front and back are supposed to be Gorilla Glass 5. Well, after doing more looking into it, apparently there are other people with this issue, and the back is covered in micro scratches, and realistically a lot of them were not from very heavy daily use. Like, I mean, when I first got it, I was still working the same job, but there wasn't as much going on, and it was obviously brand new. I was being more careful with it, not using it as much at work and stuff like that. And I mean, even after just a few days, I started to see a few micro scratches on the back. So the back actually seems less scratch resistant than the front, which is interesting because thickness shouldn't have anything to do with that. And as far as I understand, the back doesn't have the oleophobic coating on it. But I mean, the back of my phone is covered in quite a few scratches. So I am still a firm believer, honestly myself, that Gorilla Glass 5 is not as scratch resistant as Gorilla Glass 4. It may be more drop, you know, break, shatter resistant, but it does not seem to be more scratch resistant, which is just kind of the laws of physics. In order to make it more break resistant, it has to be a softer material so that it can flex more without shattering. And in that case, it's going to have a softer, you know, lower hardness level, and it's going to be scratched easier. In theory, it's still on like the same level as Gorilla Glass 4 when it comes to like if you're actually doing testing with, you know, Mohs scale or something like that. But in daily use, it does not hold up as good as my Gorilla Glass 4 phones did when it comes to scratches. In fact, with my Gorilla Glass 4 phones, I would commonly to show people, because were still people that were skeptical about, you know, nearly scratch-proof glass. And obviously there are things that will scratch it, but when I'm saying like daily things, I would actually take my keys out and rub them on the phone and put pressure on them, and there'd be no scratches. I would not want to do that with this personally, because it would probably leave micro scratches. I have very few major scratches on here. The major ones I don't even know where they came from, but a pretty substantial amount of micro scratches, which is a little bit frustrating. Now, the camera lens has held up pretty well. I haven't actually seen scratches on the camera lens, which is interesting because I don't believe it's made of sapphire or any different material, but the very small bump that sticks out of it probably helps some small grit and stuff like that from getting into it. Now, of course, waterproofing. This phone, I've dunked it in water. I put it in hot tubs right next to jets and stuff like that. Never had a problem with the waterproofing, but you would kind of expect that with an IP68 rating. When it comes to like dust management in the ports, nothing has seemed to really like clog up inside of them. It has, I have had to blow it out with canned air a few times and stuff like that, but nothing has really wedged its way in there to the point that it's like kind of linty inside the slot or something, which you would expect on some phones. You see lint inside either the ports or sometimes the headset port right up here, the little speaker, you know, on the top. But I'm happy to say that there's pretty much nothing that I've been able to see. There was a time where I dropped this, and by a time I mean I've dropped it many times, but a time that was significant. So I dropped this phone fairly frequently, but it's generally on carpet, or like I'll throw it on my bed and sometimes it'll roll off and hit the wall or something like that. Like I said, I'm not very particularly careful with my mobile devices. I'm more careful with a lot of my desktop hardware, but with a mobile device, I'm just not, it's my daily driver, it gets work done for me and stuff. It's not something that I like am super into, so I kind of just chuck it around or whatever, right? Nothing has seemed to come of that in particular, and I mean, it would always hit the corner or something like that. The micro scratches, like I said, I don't know exactly where they're coming from, but it's not from that, trust me, because they're all over the place, and I mean, it's not hitting things super frequently is not what I'm trying to say here. But there was one time where I was trying to reach down to put it in my pocket, and it got caught on my pocket and flipped out, and like actual momentum was put into it because I was still in the downward motion with my hand. So basically I threw it onto a concrete floor. I was really worried when I did that it was going to be damaged, it was going to be broken, something like that, especially because that's probably more equal to the force of somewhere near like the lower chest height rather than the pocket height, because I actually did give it a substantial amount of force. Unfortunately, it was kind of dumb on me. I don't know why I was, you know, trying to put it in my pocket that quickly. But anyway, yeah, so the phone fell and hit a concrete floor, and I was worried. I picked it up, inspected it, and I'm very happy to say that Gorilla Glass 5 did its job. In fact, I am not confident that Gorilla Glass 4 would have survived this particular fall, and the phone survived just fine. There was no spider webbing, there's no cracks. The only noticeable damage from that drop is right on the corner here. There's a little chip in the metal, and you can see the slight variance in color. But other than that, realistically, it was really impressive in my opinion. I was actually very happy with the way it held up there, and lucky. Now, of course, I have insurance on the phone and whatnot, but still, I prefer not to pay, you know, to get the phone replaced. Overall, I feel like over the last 6 months, and it's actually not my daily driver anymore, I'm going to be getting a review for you guys of the BlackBerry Key 1, which is my new daily driver, which is what is also recording from my lav mic here. Very happy with that phone, so it is my new daily driver. But for the 6 months about that this was my daily driver, I've been very happy with the durability of it. Like I said, I rarely use cases, and I have it on this phone, and it has held up pretty impressively well for a like 98% glass phone. I mean, let's be real, it's just the rail that's not glass. Everything else is glass, so I'm impressed with that. I'm not the happiest when it comes to those micro scratches though. Like I said, I have had phones that have held up better than this, and there are some on the front, albeit less noticeable, especially when the screen's on, but the ones on the back are particularly noticeable, and you can actually feel some of them on the sides here on the back. There's actual, like, you can rub your fingernail along the sides, and you can feel sections where there's just a bunch of abrasive material, like it has had like just a bunch of little tiny scratches put in it, and it's on the curved part of the glass in particular. I'm not exactly sure why that is, so, you know, I'm not going to say this is 10 out of 10 when it comes to durability. Obviously, it's not something like the Moto Z2 Force, which does scratch but doesn't break from drops by any means at all, or something, you know, like the Galaxy Active series of phones, but it is pretty good for a flagship that's made of all glass, and I'd probably give it like a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10 if I were giving a rating out of 10 for its durability. Over the last 6 months, if you're planning to get it and you're planning to not skin it and not, you know, put screen protectors on it and, you know, not put a case on it, I do think that you'll be pretty happy with the durability, and you should be able to trade it back in no problem to your carrier for credit or whatever, depending on what carrier you're with. So I think you'll be good and you should go for it, but if you are prone to dropping onto concrete and stuff like that fairly often, I would definitely recommend getting a case, because, I mean, I was maybe a little bit lucky here. Gorilla Glass 5 is more drop resistant, but it's still for the uh-ohs and the oopsies, not for the I drop my phone all the time because I'm accident prone or something like that, right? So get a case if you think you're gonna maybe damage it, but realistically I think you'll be pretty happy with it, even just naked as it is. Anyway, everybody, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Let me know what your luck with the S8 has been. Let me know if you're having the same weird micro scratches that I am. Like I said, it seems to be new to Gorilla Glass 5. I want to hear what your guys' experience is. So if you have an S8 or any other phone using Gorilla Glass 5 for that matter, I do want to hear what your opinion is to see if maybe another phone using the same glass is holding up better when it comes to micro scratches. And obviously don't forget to check out all the links in the description to our website and our forums and stuff like that. And stay tuned for our 1,000 subscriber video, because that is coming up soon. We're working on it. I talked about it a little bit on our live stream earlier this week. But anyway, thank you everybody for watching.